Welcome back to the channel there, everybody, and today we're talking about the Battlefield 6 beta that just happened these past couple weekends, and I streamed it a good little bit, uploaded some clips. By the way, thank you very much for all the views on the one I posted a few days ago for short wise, and it broke over 600,000 views, and I'm very surprised and very grateful for everybody doing that. But we're just going to kind of wing it here a little bit. We are going to talk about the beta itself and how good it was, what can be improved on, what we thought was good, what was bad, bugs, and all sorts of different stuff that went on in the game. In all honesty, where do I even begin with this whole Battlefield beta that just happened? The game was good, or the beta was good. It was a good run, and I understand they've been doing everything leading up through all the Battlefield labs or test labs that they've been doing for the past, I think, couple months, and it's heading in the right direction, in my opinion, on that. A lot of destruction is back. We have the more boots on the ground kind of gameplay. Battlefield really hasn't left that, but like 2042 though, you could literally have a wingsuit and be like a flying squirrel going around everywhere on the whole map. But the game, at its core foundation, they have such a solid base right now, and this is something I hope DICE and EA they capitalize on, especially how dry the FPS market is currently. So what was good? What did I think was good with the game? Well, let's just start off with the environment. The environment is, like I was just saying, the game is very grounded, and that's one of the best things I do like about it. At least beta-wise, nothing futuristic. Of course, we didn't have any skins or shops or anything like that. We'll see that later on. But we were kind of limited on what classes and stuff, or what weaponry we had. We only had, 3 assault rifles, 2 SMGs, a shotgun, 1 sniper, 2 LMGs, and a pistol. Oh yeah, and then 2 marksman rifles that weren't that good, but we'll talk about weapon balancing and stuff like that later. The point is, very grounded, much more traditional sense of Battlefield, which I'm very excited for personally, because I've been playing since Bad Company 2, and when 2042 came out, beta was so much fun back then, but then when the full game came out, it's like, where's the content? I know off topic, but it is almost 7 p.m. my time, and I'm drinking coffee this late. I'm tired, but I want to get this done. But yes, in the essence of the game's feeling, the game felt great from a grounded standpoint. And it feels a lot like Battlefield 3 and 4 in a good mix, plus some new mechanics that we have too. I guess this one I saw him back in Battlefield 5. The one I really liked, I didn't get to take advantage of much of because we didn't really have high altitude maps, but the drop and roll, where if you fall from a height that's too great, your character will literally do a roll on the ground, which is actually really cool to help prevent some fall damage. To be honest, a little disorienting whenever the couple times I did do it, but it's awesome though to kind of have that, just something like that. We still have a little slide that you can do. You can crouch and sprint now, which is actually really nice, so you can try to be a little bit more quiet while you're sneaking around enemy back lines. But then my big thing was the freaking audio. Holy shit, the audio in this game is so good. I understand it's only the beta so far, but I've never heard such good directional audio in a game. One of my favorite things was when you're just sitting there in the firing range and there's this little Bluetooth speaker going off that's behind you, but when you're turning around, you literally hear it left to right, and even behind you when you're just listening to that music itself. And it's crazy how good the audio is in the game. I've never had anything like that in a game so far. I understand companies are always trying to take it that next step further, and there are some games that do audio well, and then others that struggle. Talking about you, Warzone and Apex. But I was absolutely impressed in especially how good some of the directional audio was when people's footsteps were running around you, and you'd be able to actually kind of pinpoint them. Were they a little loud sometimes and a little unfair? I would say yes, but you're running with a lot of heavy gear on your character, so I understand why you can be so loud when sprinting around in the game. Because, it's a grounded reality. Things jingle and jangle on your body. Alright though. So enough about the game design and stuff so far. We already know we got destruction back. The audio is good. The weapons felt pretty good too, but I guess there was a bug though to where they've always had bullet deviation, to where essentially when you're ADSing and when you're firing, sometimes your bullet will just kind of go, it'll veer off randomly, like a stray bullet here or there, just because of recoil or just just strays off. It happens. But Exclusive Ace had posted a video about it. I guess there was a bug that was confirmed by the devs to where sometimes you can even be in a prone position and your bullet will just stray off, like if you're jumping or sprinting. So that is a bug, but otherwise weapons felt great. Audio was pretty solid. I will say I wasn't a fan of how fast rate of fire of the weapons, some of the weapons we did have personally. Don't get me wrong, they all felt great, but I don't want them to feel like same between some of them, you know, between, you know, some of the assault rifles and some of the carbines that we had. They both kind of felt the same, just assault rifles had a little bit more range compared to the carbines, at least from what I felt. But the few weapons that we did get to try, besides the pistol, I couldn't stand that thing, all felt pretty solid though. Oh, I guess the LMGs too, those kind of felt kind of underwhelming, but it is what it is. Not a lot of people usually run LMGs. The biggest thing with all the weaponry that we do have though, it definitely needed some slight tweaking, because there's like this one AK carbine that had no kick but was a pea shooter. But then of course then we had the shotgun, which was broken as shit, but they already knew that from, you know, the test build and stuff like that they did at the Battlefield event that they had not long ago, and they still had it in the beta where that shit was broken and strong. I get it, it's a shotgun, and shotguns, you know, they punch a hole through people, but damn. And like, I'm gonna have some clips here on screen now just to show you how good it was with slugs.
Charlie is now under our control.
I will definitely say the slugs were definitely an underused attachment with that thing, because damn, that thing was strong and you can get some snipes off of it. And it's like you can kind of use it as a little quick scoping machine when you're in some of the smaller maps, which is absolutely freaking hilarious. But I had a lot of fun with that, and I can definitely tell you I made some people mad that I see just type in the chat. They're like, oh, fucking shotgun. Oh my God, stop using that. And it's like, well, bro, it's a beta and I want to have fun, and you know, I'm gonna play how I want to play, especially if I spend the $70 that the game's gonna cost. But anyways, let's kind of move on to the next point on the maps. The maps I did enjoy quite a bit. However, they are more close quarter combat, which they are trying to do. I don't want to say the Call of Duty route by having more infantry style games, because we only had one map that had, at least in the beta, and there's only gonna be 9 in launch and we had 4, but only one had helicopters and jets. That's not good, because I understand they're trying to pull away from another audience, because I get it, they want to bring in as many players as possible, just like any company does. But I really hope that they don't Call of Duty-fy the game in that aspect, and hopefully add more bigger maps over time and stuff, because a lot of us, especially myself, I love traditional conquest. Personally, I'm more of a tank buster and everything. Myself, I drive tanks. I'm absolute shit at helicopters and jets. I'm not even gonna argue about it. I tried flying a helicopter with one of my friends and crashed it twice immediately, but also controls felt kind of weird. And I had this weird thing with the vehicles where no matter how much I up my sensitivity from first person view, I felt like I just couldn't turn. I understand it was realistic, but then as soon as I put my camera in third person, it would snap instantly, like it was not a problem. And I'm like, okay, is this a bug or intentional? Or I legitimately have no idea. I never bothered to look up if anybody else had the same problem as I did, but that's just how I felt when I was in first person to third person. Third person, I could snap on a dime. First person, I could not when it came to helicopters and tanks. But anyways, back onto the maps. They are kind of Call of Duty-esque, and I can agree with a lot of other people in the fan base talking about that, because that is the last thing I want. I want Battlefield to be Battlefield. But like, I understand if you have like, you know, your little groupfuls of like, you know, Operation Locker, Operation Metro style kind of maps, which, you know, those are our most popular maps. That's been proven to history over the years. And even if you go to those older Battlefield games, like either 3 or 4, you always find populated servers of Metro Operation Locker, because it's action packed. It's just nonstop infantry like fights going on, and it is a lot of fun in that cut. But you always see it's just nonstop battles of tug of war going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth on each other, and it's always nonstop fun chaos, and that is what a lot of people like. These maps weren't like that. I can't remember the map names, to be quite honest with you, because they weren't like amazing names. I think the main one I played a lot on was Siege of Cairo was the name, and it's the desert one where, you know, on breakthrough the attacking side gets a tank, the other side eventually, so on and so forth gets one. But that tank against a full team of engineers, just gone, instantly gone. Or if you have anti-tank mines or anything like that, I understand this was a new experience for a lot of people who were using these vehicles, but at the same time, they weren't that strong. Not as strong as I kind of wish they would have been. They can be strong in the right hands, but you know, that tank either has to have 5 engineers behind his back to keep it alive, or the other team has to have 20 different engineers just to be able to take it out. But a lot of the maps, once again, are more infantry focused from what it seems to be, and that's pretty much it with the maps. You know, the peak one, the mountain one, was okay. I wasn't a fan of it, especially it was just Sniper City, especially on oh my god, especially on breakthrough. You would come out, you're defending, and you just see like 10 different little spotlights in the distance, and people are just there. Like I'm have to find the meme and see if I could post it here, just because this guy was just like, the moment you peek your head out and you just see 10 sniper glints already. The Detroit one that we got in the second weekend was pretty cool. All close quarters, infantry only. It was okay. You know, definitely had a little bit more verticality than other maps, but still felt like too small for a Battlefield game. And I don't want small maps. I want bigger maps. You know, at least medium-sized maps. So you can at least have that fine balance where you can at least have some light infantry vehicles, but you aren't just stuck on just infantry only. You gotta have a balance, especially in a Battlefield game like this. Unless you are Operation Locker or Metro, because you are all inside either a prison or a subway underground. So a little bit of a different story with those kind of maps. But yeah, maps weren't bad though, I will say. Maps were not bad. They could be better, but we also don't know what else we're expecting in the future, but we shall see. All right, nextly, I want to kind of transition from maps into the game modes. Game mode's pretty straightforward. We had Conquest, we had Domination, Squad Deathmatch, Rush, and Breakthrough. Conquest was good overall. Conquest is the staple for Battlefield. There's 5-6 flags around the map. The whole map is open. You get vehicles, tanks, and everything, and you all work together to try to get the other teams down. Tickets from 1,000 all the way down to 0. Pretty straightforward, and I thought it felt pretty good on all of them. It just sucks on the infantry only map, like the Detroit one that we had. It was okay. It was fun. My favorite part was like in the streets on I can't remember the flag names, but the spawns were kind of weird. But I would just slug shotgun people on the side of the road, and I'd just be up in this little park area off to the side, and that was a lot of fun to do. But that map is still kind of like the iffy map, I would say. But the other maps I felt played really well in Conquest, and especially the I don't know the name, but you're still kind of in the city, but you get some light tanks throughout it, and you go through, capture the points. A lot of the buildings can be destroyed, especially the walls of the buildings can be destroyed. C was the main middle point, and that was a fun map to always play on too. That one I did really enjoy, and especially there was always long fights from like A to E, to where if you're on A side, on the right hand side of the map, there was always like that outdoor area where your tanks would always fight for that resupply station there, because it's, you know, it's nice, wide open, and you'll be able to resupply your tank, heal, and stuff like that while putting pressure on the enemy. Cairo is another wonderful map, but then people near the end of the beta had to ruin it because they were able to get on the roof and, you know, just be roof campers. And I get it, people want to have fun, and we need to find bugs so the devs can fix it. But it's like, don't be an asshat. That's just not fun for everybody. Just actually play the game for what it is. So the biggest disappointment I had with the game types was Rush. They completely gutted the shit out of Rush. Rush was always, you know, at least 16 versus 16, oh no, 18 versus 18 players, or even back then, for some lobbies you could find 24, 32 versus 32 player lobbies. and Rush felt so gutted this time around. I love the nostalgia from hearing the traditional, you know, the sound going off when the bomb is planted or the MCOM stations are armed. But it's like, it's so gutted. There was no vehicles. I didn't really play a lot. At least the matches I played, it just felt dumbed down. It wasn't fun. It was, and especially sometimes or not even just sometimes, all the games went way too fast. I miss those games where I would literally take a minimum 30 minutes to an hour just to go through and complete and fight your way through the objectives or even hold them off for that long. It's just disappointing with that. And it's like, I really hope that they tweak Rush kind of back to what it was beforehand, because it's, my book, not good at all. Not good at all. Domination was cool. I know, kind of a jump there. But then the domination mode was pretty cool. It's just typical domination, infantry only, three flags you got to cap. Pretty self-explanatory. That was cool to play, especially if you just want to, you know, work on some of your challenges, especially when you have the assault one where you have to get kills within 10 meters of people using the assault kit. But yeah, just domination. And then breakthrough, though. Breakthrough's always been one of my more go-to modes, just because to me it's like a mix of rush and conquest in a way. You're rushing to capture these objectives, but then also you for the conquest aspect. But if you want to push up like how rush is, you have to capture both of them and progress to the next area. It's always been personally one of my go-tos for that, just because I like the idea of just constantly fighting back with the enemy. And it's always another game of tug of war like that, to where, you know, the tide can change at any given time. You know, you're about to capture that second point that you have, and then all of a sudden one little slippery guy just snuck around the back and then is capping the other one, and you don't have both flags no more. Just because that game of tension is always going on, tug of war, I always think it's great, you know. Me personally with it, at least. I think it's a very, very fun mode. One thing I do think that they need to do, though, is increase the ticket amounts for all the modes. Conquest, I think, is okay, but it's weird to me because I remember Conquest games usually lasting at least 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes minimum. Now the longest they last is like 20 minutes. And I'm like, not the best time, at least for me personally, because when I play Battlefield, I'm going to grind Battlefield. I want to play my long games. I like the longest game of Battlefield I ever played was 3 hours long. That was the most fun match I have ever had. And that was back in Battlefield 3. Definitely a good time, but I definitely want more tickets, especially for Rush. 75 tickets for attackers is not enough, especially how difficult those bomb sites were to get. Alrighty, so the next thing I do want to talk about is the class system. So we are back to mostly to our traditional class system from assault, support, engineer, and recon. I had a brain fart there for a second. But the big problem I have with, there's one big glaring issue I have. I don't like the difference how they changed assault and support. They mashed two roles into one with the support class. Because in the past, assault was always the medic of the group. You know, they got assault rifles, they have defibrillators in the med pack. And, you know, they could always do grenade launcher and med pack, or grenade launcher defibs, whatever they want to, or have the grenade launcher attached to their assault rifle. Now I don't like how both the med bag and ammo pack are the same. I think the reason why they did it, though, is just because they want people to be able to use or, like, get both. So because people heal so much, there's never enough supports per game. So I think that's why they had done that, is to combine the classes together. I think it should be separate, flat out. Assault needs the one, and then support needs the... sorry, I'm dying. So assault needs the med bag and stuff, and then support needs the ammunition and stuff. However, I wouldn't mind if they swapped the weapons, though. If, you know, at least support maybe could get assault rifles, and then medics could get LMGs again, because that would be a lot of fun. Doing that once again, because it sucks, because you're supposed to be the person laying down suppressive fire, but you're also the medic trying to heal your team and stuff like that. How that doesn't make any sense. It's like you're trying to lay down, you're trying to help your team, but you're like, oh, I gotta suppress fire and all these people, while they're sitting there bleeding out, and you can't res them just because of that. That's just something I could never understand personally, because I remember back in Bad Company 2, that's how it was. They had gone not assault rifles, LMGs back then, and then ever since then, it's always changed up. So, but I do think assault players should get LMGs, because I understand they are the firepower person of the group. I think it's deserved for them to get the LMGs instead for their primary weapon then. support class if they are going to keep the system how it is. But otherwise, I thought balance was pretty cool. Of course, Recon did have the spawn beacon in the beta, but they are changing that for the launch, where it is going to be assault players that's going to get the spawn beacon, because they are going to be the frontline troopers and stuff like that to be, you know, running and gunning and stuff, and they're going to be able to, you know, like, hey, put this down here so your team can spawn on it, and they're going to be the flankers of the group. So that makes sense for that, and we'll see how that plays out. I do think, though, maybe Recon could get like a solo spawn beacon that's only good for, you know, maybe so many times throughout the match, or you have to resupply. Even when you die, you have to go out and resupply, because it's only like so many uses or whatever throughout the game. I think that'd be cool, just so Recon players can still have their sniping positions and stuff without having to rerun to it every time. But always remember, you are playing a Recon, and if you're sniping, you always want to reposition anyway in the first place. So just, I gotta also keep. Oh, and then my beloved engineer class. That was the main class I played through all weekend. Just because I love sniping people with RPGs, and their class is just so much fun, man. Especially, you are the backbone in most Conquest games, just because of how many vehicles you got to repair. You place down anti-tank. You got to try to help destroy those tanks with your friendlies, with your tanks, and then your other engineer teammates. They are one of the key backbones to everything. Just to destroy the heavy weaponry on the other side, just so your team can push them back, or you can help push your team up. But man, oh man, this whole beta, man, these past 2 weekends been freaking phenomenal. That's all I can say. It's a great start to Battlefield 6, and I'm a little sad that I have to wait 2 months and everybody else just so we can get our hands on this game again. I understand people don't want to do pre-orders. I get it, you know. Do with what you want with your money, but at the same time, I understand why I've been seeing a lot of messages where don't pre-order, because we have been burned in the before, just like with Battlefield 2042. But damn, that beta was good. That beta was so good. It makes me want to pre-order it, but I'm more than likely not going to, and I'm just gonna wait until the release of it. But also because I'm, you know, have some future things going on in my life that needs a lot of money, so that's another reason why. But man, let me know in the comments what all you guys think about the beta. Just real quick, we could talk about some of the bugs that were in the beta. Like, there's some of these weird geometry issues to where in the beta to where you would hit just like the slightest like slant and you just jump up like you're freaking Mario. That shit. Hold on, let me throw a clip here.
The stairs and jumped behind them, pulled out my shotgun, missed all round.
I think we all had seen some of that. I also seen there's like this weird revive bug too, where people kept on reviving a dead body and getting non-stop points and stuff like that. I saw some dude with like 400 revives. I'm like, that's impossible, and it's because of that. Oh, actually, speaking of the medic class, actually, and the reviving thing, defibrillators are more than likely going to be nerfed, because I will say they were kind of stupidly broken for you. You know, if you wipe out like 3-4 people, and that one medic wipes you out, or one support player, and then all those dudes are back in an instant like that. So that is one downside to it for the medics. But then also, just remember, everybody, if you are a medic, revive your teammates. Please be diligent and pay attention to your surroundings. Slap on some smoke grenades and run around. Revive your team. That's what you're there for. Put down that cover. Put down healing and ammo. Remember that. You gotta do it. It's a necessity, especially if you're playing that role. If you want to run and gun, play assault, not support. But any other bugs? That I didn't really have a lot of bug issues personally. Like, I would have some of these weird lens flare things that were going on Cairo on the back half of the map. Here won the flags, which was weird, but it was only in that area. I would also have this weird screen glitch where I felt like my screen was seizing. I'm not gonna post it because it legitimately would give somebody freaking epileptic seizure if I could speak. But nah, for real, like, it was really bad, and like it hurts your eyes, so I'm not even gonna post that. We've all had clips of it, and it, because shit hurts. But personally, those were about the only really main bugs I was running into, besides the shooting one I was talking about earlier, and that was pretty much it. Game was pretty stable for the most part. And oh, actually, one more thing that we need to talk about. So as we all know, Battlefield Portal is going to be coming back, but even better, it's going to be more like a Halo Forge kind of system, which I'm really excited for. But they're taking away server browser, which I think is not a good idea. They need to at least have that back. I understand to have the portal browser to have it separately, but we need to have regular server browsers for, you know, official servers, or let people rent the server and do that stuff again. So people can make their own custom lobbies, but they can still get, you know, the good XP rates and stuff like that as well. And have higher ticket counts, because that's the biggest thing with custom servers. People actually care about the ticket count. So do with what you will with that information, but we do need that very, very much. And I know a lot of people have been agreeing with that and talking about that quite a bit in the community. But that's about it for my Battlefield 6 beta review slash kind of feedback. You know, it's kind of a mix of the both. We talked about the good, the bad, and, you know, what could be changed. And along those lines, and personally what I thought about it. It was a lot of fun. Just heard something beep in my apartment, so I'm not sure entirely what that is. I think it's the water tea kettle thing. I have to unplug that. But anyways, though, I do greatly appreciate it if you guys made it to the end and watched it. Thank you once again for all the views and stuff on my recently YouTube shorts. Greatly, greatly appreciated. I try to stream somewhat daily. Try to. But if you guys want to join my Discord, I'm going to leave a link down below if you want to talk, chat with me, and join my community and everything like that. And if you want to follow for future content and streams and stuff like that, I'm always trying to stream between TikTok and Twitch at least a few times a week. I don't quite have a schedule because my work schedule fucking sucks. But hey, maybe this will be one day a full-time thing, but we'll see. But anyways, though, I greatly appreciate every single one of you watching this, and I hope you all have a wonderful day and have a good day there, everybody.